What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man number 796, which means only 4 more issues until Dan Slott is off of Spider-Man. Which, if Dan could have honed his skill, like this book, this is a good story. It is not a good Spider-Man story. You could tweak it and make it a good Spider-Man story, but the fact is that Spider-Man is not the hero of this story, and it's a kind of an awful trend that has been happening with the Amazing Spider-Man, where Spider-Man is like the secondary character. He's like the more popular friend that shows up and makes the other friend seem more interesting. And that's what, unfortunately, Dan Slott has done over the past decade of writing Spider-Man. Especially just in this run, it was more, you had Spider-Man and Mockingbird, then you had Spider-Man and Human Torch, and then you had Spider-Man and Mockingbird, and then you had a couple decent, maybe couple stories in there, and then it was Spider-Man and Flash Thompson, and then that's what you get in here. This is not a Spider-Man; it's Spider-Man and Anti-Venom. But that being said, there are some really, really, really good plot points in here. So this is the third part of the threat level red, which I wish they didn't use that storyline tag for the last 2 issues and this one, as it's referring to Norman Osborn obtaining the Carnage symbiote, but each of those, that whole kind of storyline, are footnotes within each book, and same with this one. It has Norman Osborn has little to do. Now that again, there are big twists at the end of each one that reveal things about that, but it's not. I wouldn't consider it a storyline. So the book is mainly about Peter Parker getting back on his feet, being the science editor at the Bugle. Alchemax is debuting a new kind of energy source, and of course, like any energy source, it could possibly be used as a weapon. There's a tie-in to the annual 42 with the statue made of tritium. And anybody who's seen Spider-Man 2, which should be everyone, because Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man, tritium kind of has a good solid grounding within the Spider-Man universe. So of course some things go wrong, and there are just some really bad plot holes, and I feel it's laziness in the writing that just completely ruin that. So let's kind of jump in. Again, you kind of get the splash page of you have Spider-Man, and I wish Spider-Man could look, Peter could look that cool in like every panel. But even like, unfortunately, who's this? Mike Hawthorne. I am not a fan of how he draws people, and I'll show you. They look like clowns when doing, like clowns without makeup. So, you kind of get an action, mid-action of Anti-Venom palling around New York, saving the day. An officer was was hit with a boomerang from, it's not Captain Boomerang, I can't remember his name, it's said here. But Anti-Venom is able to use his symbiote to heal people, which is a neat little twist. The officer, says thank you, and goes on his way. Of course, late, Spider-Man shows up, and he's like, well, hey, thanks, Anti-Venom, maybe we can hang out. And he's like, nope, gotta go. And kind of just leaves, leaving Spider-Man. And even, it's funny, he's like, hey, Spidey, having been busted by the both of you, I just want to say he did it way better. Again, Spider-Man, second potatoes to Anti-Venom, which I do like the design of Anti-Venom. So this is a good... I was actually... Again, there are little things in this book I was really happy to see. So this panel right here confirms that these events happen after Spectacular Spider-Man, because JJ knows the identity of Spider-Man, and they're kind of pals now, which is something that has come out of Chip Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man run, which has been really good. If you want a real Spider-Man story, go read that. The 300th issue is coming out this week, this coming Wednesday. So I would highly recommend it. I believe that's the 28th for anybody watching this video later, February 28th. But so they kind of have this conversation about how, he's, kind of drilling them that, Peter's kind of fallen to be second potatoes against, Anti-Venom, and he's like, whatever. Again, it kind of even pokes fun that Spider-Man's not Spider-Man in his own story. So then Flash is meeting with the CEO of Alchemax, who knows he's Anti-Venom because obviously it happened in her lab. But this is one of the art design things that I don't like. I don't know why they put this sheen on noses, because it makes them look like, and these ridiculously high cheekbones. They make them look fake. Now, from far away, she looks fine. But up close, she looks like I'm not going to lie, that kind of looks like a man in drag. If you were to kind of... I would think that was either a grandmother, who's had some work done, or a man in drag. So she's like, hey, look, you're Anti-Venom. I know you are. That's fine, whatever. But how about I hire you as security for... this demonstration that I'm putting on. So as science editor, Pete is like, hey, look, we're getting passes to go view this new debut of an energy source. So we're going to take a little field trip. So him and Ruby Lynn, who's his assistant, who kind of goes from I'm pretty sure she was Asian, and she's maybe Islander, like Filipino, but she kind of goes from that to black. It's they can't make up her mind where, what race she's supposed to be. Where is she flowing in here? Again, that and that does not look like the same person. Here, let's put them side by side. Again, that looks like a black woman, and that looks like an Asian woman. I just don't get it. So they go, they go to the demonstration, and again, I don't like Pete's face. He's always smirky, side smirking, this whole. See, looks like a freaking clown. Haha, I'm Peter Parker. So this is what's neat, though. Who else shows up to the demonstration but a rival competitor to Alchemax, which is Stark Industries, and it is Mary Jane Watson. Big thumbs up. And things kind of happen through the story that show that MJ still knows that Peter is Spider-Man, that he is... which I thought as part of One More Day that she completely forgot all of that, in losing their marriage and everything, but I guess I am wrong. So they meet, they have some kind words, Again, I don't like the way MJ is drawn from up close. Like from afar, she looks fine. But of course, villains attack. It's the Goblin Gang. They want the tritium. The demonstration was only supposed to use a sliver, but again, there's a whole statue made of it. And this is where it gets irritating. So Flash and Spider-Man kind of go their separate ways, change, and come back to fight. The security guard loses his hand because he's the one that has access to the vault. And then so, Anti-Venom puts it like some of his symbiote on there. He's like, look, I'll get your hand back. If I get it back soon enough, I'll be able to reattach it, no problem. So then the goblins fly away. You get some good stuff with Norman. Again, one or two pages, and it's a storyline apparently. So this is where you get a little like, stupid Spider-Man. So the goblin's like, I'm gonna splatter you like a bug. And he's like, you need to work on your banter game. Watch how I do it. Note how I use my sticky feet power to anchor myself, and then I say, check out my feat of strength. And then he says, pro tip number 2, don't waste your best stuff on minions. So this is the cake on the icing on the cake of irritation. So the goblin gets the hand, opens the vault, which I guess is outside and accessible. Flash gets the hand back, but then just dips out. He's like, nope, I gotta get this guy's hand back to him so I can put it on. And he's like, Spidey, you can take care of this. And Spider-Man's like, wait, I can? And he kind of makes a good point, like, the last time I faced the goblins, I had, armor and, like, sonic dampeners and stuff like that. I'm not able, I don't have that stuff this time, so I'm kind of at a loss, which I don't think that's characteristic of Flash Thompson. I understand he made a promise to that security guard to get his hand back, but he should have stayed to apprehend, to finish the job. He was an Army Ranger, I think. Not just in the Army, I think he was an Army Ranger. You finish the job, He's essentially leaving Spider-Man to clean up the mess. And of course, what happens when you leave Spider-Man to clean up the mess? He gets some help from JJ, but ultimately the Goblin makes off with a briefcase, not all of the tritium, but at least some of it. And of course, Spider-Man just lets him go because his head hurt real bad. He got head hurt. So this is, again, the interesting thing. So you have Ruby Lynn kind of like, well, I wish I would have, if I'm standing around waiting on Parker, we're probably going to miss the train. And then MJ kind of steps in. He's like, oh, I asked Pete to stick around. He's like, you go ahead. I'll tell him to meet up with you. And then you kind of have this, like, MJ gets my back perfectly, just like old times. She really was one impressive lady, more than I ever think I ever appreciate it. So again, it's like there's hope, and there's another page. I don't want to spoil it, but there's another page that is, again, gives me hope in the Mary Jane and Peter future. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man. It was all right. 4 more issues I can deal with. But subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.